The non-conference schedule for Duke basketball's 2024-2025 season is finalized. And whoo, it's quite a doozy.
You are Locked On Blue Devils, your daily podcast on the Duke Blue Devils. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everybody, and welcome into another episode of the Locked On Blue Devils podcast. My name is JJ Jackson. So great to have you here with us. Today, we've got a really awesome show as Duke basketball has now finalized their 2024-2025 non-conference schedule. Ryan Lommen at the Duke Nation on X is going to be joining us on today's show to break it all down, talk about the offseason of change for this Duke basketball team, and look, the depth on this Duke squad, pretty impressive as well. You can follow us on X at LO_Blue Devils. I'm there as well at _JJ_Jackson_. My one big ask, please make sure that you follow and subscribe to Locked On Blue Devils for free, wherever it is that you get your podcasts. And if you watch the show daily, go ahead and leave subscribe to our YouTube channel. Leave us a like, comment down below on the videos what your thoughts are about this non-conference schedule and so much more. We love all the ways that are out there to interact with you, the listener, and a special shout out, of course, to all of our everydayers that watch the show and make it a part of your daily routine. College basketball season will be here before we know it. We've got this non-conference schedule, so let's dive right in as we are very excited to welcome in Ryan Lommen back to the program at the Duke Nation on X. Ryan, it's so good to see you, man. Anytime I see you on the screen, that means that the season's getting much closer. How are you?
I'm good, man. It's been the summer's flown by. It seems like March Madness was just a little bit ago. So getting super excited for the season. Obviously seeing some summer hype and training videos, but yeah, it's September's next month and that fall's rolling around. So colder weather and football and basketball is right around the corner. So
yeah, we love it, man. It's the best time of year. We've got a non-conference schedule that's now been set for this Duke basketball team. It's been a lot of roster change and turnover for this Duke squad in particular. You mentioned March Madness, feeling like it was just yesterday. You're repping March on the shirt that you're wearing today. If folks are watching with us on YouTube, I mean, quite a lot has happened in regards to Duke basketball over that stretch of months, right? The transfer portal was a buzzing and man, a lot of new faces coming to Durham, a lot of faces saying farewell to their time playing for the Brotherhood.
Yeah, it was an interesting one because I think I said it in May or something that you're kind of seeing what this staff strategy is going to be going forward. And I don't think the plan is to lose as many guys as they did this season, but to see them go out and be as active as they were in the transfer portal and not only just walk-ons or practice guys. It was guys that were coming in to compete, that want to come in and win a championship. I mean, you had a guy in Mason Gillis who's been in the Final Four. So it's going to be a pretty interesting season to see how all these transfers fit in. But super excited because this is kind of something we had asked for the last 2 years, which I don't know if it would have changed much in previous seasons, but the fact that they are the staff that is active in the transfer portal and are pulling in guys that are going to play good minutes and contribute to this team is super exciting. And it's new for us Duke fans. So it's going to be a lot of fun and intriguing to watch.
Yeah, fun. One of those things, to your point, like you ask for it and then it's like, all right, well, here it is. Wish granted, with new experienced players coming to join the team for Duke. All right, the big news, we've had reports of schedules. We've known, for example, what the Champions Classic matchup was going to be. Kentucky due up for Duke. You know that there's a home-and-home contract in place with Arizona, so a return trip being made to Arizona this season on the schedule. Other reports coming out, and we know the schedule's released for the SEC-ACC Challenge, for example. But now we officially know the full non-conference schedule for the Blue Devils. As a whole, what do you make of it?
I love it, man. I mean, it's from a team who has good depth and experience, but also has some fresh blood coming in. I think it's the perfect mix. Yeah, I'm never going to be mad at scheduling a tough non-conference schedule, right? Like, if anything, I'd rather it be this way than the opposite. And so obviously we have the Champions Classic every year. We have the ACC, what was the Big Ten Challenge, but now SEC Challenge is just a given. So those two are always set in stone. And then we had the Arizona home and home, like you mentioned, but like adding games like Illinois in February, and then we have Kansas in Las Vegas. So adding those two games, and the Illinois one in February is going to be very interesting. Like that night, whenever they play, is going to feel so weird that we're playing Illinois, and like that's just not going to make any sense to me. But I'm here for it. Like get a taste of something outside the ACC before March. That's right up towards the end of the season there. So super excited about it. I think this is a team, if you're going to do it any season, this is a team you want to do it with to build that experience and camaraderie. So I'm all for it, man. I love it.
Yeah, no doubt. These big games in particular have everybody excited. And how can you not be when you get to see the best of the best competing against one another? That'll be the case for Duke in many different nights this season. So Kentucky, one of the early premier games on the schedule for the Blue Devils. When we look at this non-conference schedule now being finalized, Champions Classic, we're used to that. We're used to the other teams in the field with Duke, Kansas, Michigan State, and Kentucky. It's been in Atlanta before. It's going back to Atlanta this season. What we're not used to is John Calipari not walking up and down the sidelines for Kentucky basketball. That's going to be the case this offseason. He goes and takes the Arkansas job. Mark Pope is now on the sidelines for Kentucky. It's going to be really different, man.
Yeah, it's going to be a weird feel. I'm excited for it. Like I'm not a Calipari hater or anything, but it's just a new era for Kentucky, and like we were just kind of in that a couple of years ago with Shire taking over. So I'm excited to see what happens there. Excited to see them in their first big matchup with him at the helm. And Kentucky is going to be a good team this year. They brought in a lot of really good talent. Mark Pope and his staff did a really good job. So yeah, I'm excited for it. It's just going to be a weird feel with the two, I guess you could say, young guys taking over the Blue Bloods with John Shire and Mark Pope, and obviously Mark Pope going back to his alma mater. John Shire is the same thing. I'm super excited. As far as like headlines and storylines go, it's probably one of the bigger ones the Champions Classic has seen. And then you talk about Duke's class and their freshman with Cooper Flagg going to be highlighting his first nationally televised regular season game. I mean, what more could you ask for to kick off the season?
Without a doubt. And the rivalry still stands, right? I mean, it's just when someone's been at that spot since 2009, like Calipari had at Kentucky, it's just going to take a while to get reacclimated to it. Well aware of, the shot Leitner has. It's not Coach Cal over there on the sidelines in Lexington. So we'll get used to this. But to your point, the roster is still really impressive. It's going to be a big battle between those two teams. And I think the rivalry will remain just as fierce, even though it will be a new head coach for Kentucky.
Definitely. And it will between the fans on social media as well, because I feel like that's where it's like been the biggest in the past decade is once Twitter and now X came out and you could interact with fans more. It's where I get the dose of my Kentucky fans, and it's more than I can handle most times. So I'm super excited for that. And then just the storied programs behind it. What more could you ask for as far as storylines go? So I'm super excited.
Another big test in the non-conference for Duke is the second half of the home and home with Arizona. We'll talk a little bit more about the Wildcats after we take our first break here on today's episode of Locked on Blue Devils. JJ Jackson joined today by my good pal Ryan Lommen. Locked on Blue Devils is brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. FanDuel, of course, is the absolute best. This time of year, football is almost here, and FanDuel is hooking customers up with a boost or bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every single day. Also, right now, we've got a lot of Major League Baseball. As you know, a lot of exciting games being played. The WNBA season is back in action. Exciting work on the golf courses. You've got big, exciting races in F1 and NASCAR. So many things for you to be betting on this time of year. So head over to FanDuel.com and make the most out of your summer turning into the fall. FanDuel is an official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball, and FanDuel is a proud sponsor of Locked On Blue Devils. Let's start to move forward here on the show today. I'm JJ Jackson. Ryan Lommen is here with me on the program. He's at the Duke Nation on X. Tell people a little bit about yourself, man. If they're new, if they haven't seen you in a while, glad to get you back here on the show and promote the great work that you do, man.
Yeah, man. At the Duke Nation on X and Instagram. At CrazyCast is our live show that we do post game throughout the season, once a week at least. So we're bringing that back for another season with the Field of 68. So super excited about that. And yeah, catch us there. It's on all podcasts. We stream live after games. So check us out.
make sure you check it out indeed, because there are going to be a lot of games that you guys are going to be streaming live afterwards. And Arizona is one of those. Before we get into Arizona, even in particular, man, just another venue that we're not used to Duke basketball playing in. That's real. We're not used to Arizona coming and playing inside Cameron Indoor Stadium. I think that's what we as kind of Duke fans and Duke basketball lovers appreciate, is when you kind of get these new experiences.
Definitely. I mean, it reminds me a little bit of Arkansas going there. That was a strange environment. Like you watch these games on a random Tuesday or Wednesday, and you just don't imagine Duke being there. And then there they are. Arizona's going to be no different, man. It's going to be weird. Like I think of Pac-12 basketball. I think of Bill Walton. So RIP there, but it's going to be weird. Like even watching an Arizona game late at night and seeing Duke and then not having Bill Walton in the arena. Like it's going to be interesting. But I'm excited for it. This Arizona team is going to be really good again. They bring back Caleb Love. Love is back. Tommy Lloyd is still there. Omar Bello is still there. It's going to be a heck of a fight. I love these tests. It's just one of those when I go into these and I'm just like, just be competitive, like just pull something out. Like with this early in the season, kind of like last year with Arizona, is like you just really never know what's going to happen. It can tell you a lot about your team, but I just want to see them go into a road environment and not look afraid of the moment. And so that's what I'm looking for. I'm not worried about guys hitting shots. I'm not worried about anything like that. Just, are they ready for the moment? Is there a game plan that they're trying to execute? Do they look organized? In your first big road game like that, it's just something to see what this team is made of and where they need to make improvements. And so looking forward to that for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. Yet another matchup with Caleb Love as we sort of add to the story there. And then Omar Balu, as you mentioned, does transfer. Remember, he's at Indiana. It's hard to keep up with where everybody's heading.
That's right. My
these
bad.
days. So the front court a little bit different, but as people look at this, that's an advantage to Duke, because Duke's size this year, everybody on the roster is 6'5" or taller. I mean, that will absolutely be an advantage for Duke in so many of these games that they play.
Yeah, and that's the big thing about when we went to the transfer portal and got guys like Malik, and we got even bigger guards and wings as well. So if you're going to guard a guy like Caleb Love, who can go out there, and obviously we've seen him do what he can do, you need bigger guards as well. But in the front court, to have guys like Common and Cooper down there is going to be super beneficial. But yeah, it's the road environment that I'm not worried about, but just what I'm always looking out for to see if your team's up for the test this early in the season.
It was the second game of the year for the Blue Devils last season. Going to be very early in the season for Duke. Once again, here this season, a 5-point win for Arizona. So anytime that you got to get your face back, right? I mean, we got to find a way to get Duke back on the winning side of things, right?
Exactly. I'll just say it's a little embarrassing if you do a home and home and lose both games, especially at the level that they're playing at with Arizona and Duke. So yeah, you got to at least steal one. They stole one here, so it's our turn to go get one.
Okay, we're talking about this non-conference schedule for the Blue Devils. Another premier game to highlight, Kansas, a team that we typically see in the Champions Classic. We don't have them in rotation this year, and it's like, you know what? Let's play them anyway. Let's find a spot to go and play them in Las Vegas, man. I mean, that's going to be a really exciting game to see unfold.
Yeah, and it was weird how all the reports kind of like trickled out about it, and how it could be part of this NIL collective. I don't think it ended up being part of the NIL thing, but yeah, I mean, why not schedule Kansas, right? We already got Kentucky, we got Arizona, might as well throw one more blue blood in there. So being able to see Kansas, I mean, maybe try to go to the game, because who doesn't love Vegas and basketball? So that'd be kind of fun. But another great test. I believe they're coming in this season as another top 5-ish team as well. So I like that it's on a neutral floor. It kind of gives me the feel reminds me back to when Paulo and the Mark Williams team went to Vegas and played Gonzaga, kind of that feeling. I think that was in Vegas, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Kind of gives the same feeling as that. And I don't know, just seeing the team play in Vegas always seems to have good vibes for me. So I'm excited for that. And they bring back a lot of good players, and it's going to be a dogfight, and we're a better place to do it than Las Vegas.
Yeah, I'm so excited to watch that game unfold, that matchup in particular. You've got Hunter Dickerson playing yet another season of college basketball. So that is a front court matchup that will be, when you've got experienced guys there in the middle for Duke's young front court to kind of go up against.
Exactly. And playing in the backcourt with Foster and Proctor going up against Harris, and I think Stewart transferred there from Wisconsin. So will be super interesting to see how that matchup happens, and just to see where Foster and Proctor are at. I think a lot of us expect I think we always have higher expectations than we need to when it comes to making leaps from season to season. But I do feel like with Foster and Proctor's experience coming back, there's no reason to think that they both can't or haven't improved their game. So to see them go up against a backcourt like Kansas that early in the season will be super interesting.
Without a doubt. I mean, you mentioned Stewart coming in from Wisconsin, also another sought-after recruit that everybody in America wanted. Duke was in the running as well. Rylan Griffin, the sharpshooter from Alabama, now ends up with the Jayhawks. I mean, what a job they did in the transfer portal. Looking at the non-conference schedule for the Blue Devils, another game home and home, in the ACC SEC Challenge, coming home for Duke, coming to play inside Cameron Indoor Stadium. They've got Auburn due up, taking on my alma mater. Going to be strange to see the Auburn Tigers playing inside Cameron Indoor, but another team, it's going to be top 15 going into the preseason. Bruce Pearl always has his squad ready to go, and exciting to watch. Janai Broom, a big man in the middle, an All-American returning for the Tigers. Again, just another experienced front court player that you'll have to deal with.
Yeah, and the nice thing is we can trot out some experience as well. Like Malik Brown was one of the best defenders in the ACC last year, if not all the entire country. So having a guy like that who has experience is not obviously Common's going to do his thing, and we're going to see how he progresses as a freshman. But as far as expectations go, having an anchor like Malik Brown to come in and take on guys like that is exactly why he came to Duke, right? He's going to showcase those skills. It's going to be perfect fit for Duke. And so, like you said, those front court matchups are going to be great. The thing I feel like Auburn's always a team that comes on strong in the second half of the season, and Bruce Pearl kind of like figuring things out. So I'm not saying I'm not worried about it, but like I'd prefer playing Bruce Pearl and Auburn in November, December than I would in March or April. So I'm cool with it, but excited.
That night is going to be absolutely special in so many ways. You think about college football's finest rivalry, you first think of the Iron Bowl between Auburn and Alabama. You think of college basketball's finest rivalry, and you're going to think of Duke and North Carolina. And on that same night in December, Auburn is in Cameron playing Duke, and then Alabama is in Chapel Hill playing North Carolina. Pretty wild to see those kind of schools going up against one another in this ACC SEC Challenge. All right, one more timeout here on today's show. We'll talk about how exciting of a season it's set to be for Duke ahead here in 2024. Locked On Blue Devils continues in a moment. Our show today is brought to you by Gametime. Gametime is the absolute best place when you're thinking about tickets. Gametime has the best deals everywhere. It's the place to go. It makes getting tickets faster and easier. Prices on the Gametime app actually go down the closer to the event that you get. Killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and the lowest price guarantee. Gametime takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. You can get tickets to sporting events, concerts, comedy, theater, and so much more. Again, we mentioned the panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy, so you know what to expect. It is the lowest price guarantee, or Gametime is going to credit you 110% of the difference. Take the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCollege, LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Gametime is a proud sponsor of Locked On Blue Devils. Moving forward here on today's show, JJ Jackson again joined today by Ryan Lommen. Go give him a follow at the Duke Nation on social media. And again, this non-conference schedule finalized for the Blue Devils. Would be remiss if we didn't talk just another moment about that Illinois matchup on the schedule for the Blue Devils. Look, we have to have a game in Madison Square Garden each year, Ryan, right? So the Fighting Illini due up in February, which, circling back once again, just going to be a little strange that you're in the middle of ACC play, and then you've got this non-conference game that pops up on your radar. Duke has had this a couple of times previously with St. John's matchups over the years. Those would fall within the ACC schedule, but pretty late in the year for this Illinois game to be played.
Yeah, without looking it up, if I remember right, most of the St. John's games took place in January for the
Yep.
most part, and so I love it, man. A non-conference game at a neutral court when you're gearing up for March is perfect. End of February, perfect timing for this. I love it. Shout out to the staff for doing it, getting it done. And hey, better late than never to get to Madison Square Garden a season, right? We're used to them playing in November, December, maybe even into January at MSG, like you said, in years past. But hey, at least we're getting there. It's going to be and that'll be an interesting like litmus test for both teams, right? Just to see where they're at heading into March, see what they can kind of improve on. Obviously, it's one game, one team, but to get that experience traveling that late in the season to a neutral court and playing an unfamiliar foe is going to be awesome. I'm excited for it. Illinois is going to be a good team. Hopefully by then they're still as good as they're projected to be. So excited for it and just love that we're back at MSG again, obviously.
Yeah, the roster a little bit different for Illinois this season. Of course, their headline player in Terrence Shannon's now playing for your Timberwolves ahead of a new NBA season. But Kylan Boswell plays at Arizona last year against Duke. Now he transfers to Illinois, his hometown team. He's going to get to go up against the Blue Devils as well. A good shooter there from the outside. So pretty big test for Duke coming up late in the non-conference. And then just again, with the non-conference schedule being finalized, season set to start November 4th at home for the Blue Devils against Maine of all schools. The main event for the Blue Devils this season will be Cooper Flagg, a native of the state of Maine. Army there on November 8th, the first two kind of non-conference teams on the schedule. And those are games in which Duke absolutely is expected to win, and you're trying to build out chemistry and those sort of things, right?
Yeah, I mean, how cool is that bringing Maine to Cameron? I know some people were like, "Oh, it would have been cooler if they went to Maine." Well, it just doesn't work like that. I mean, when you pay them to come here, that's kind of how the buy games work. So, but yeah, bringing in Cooper's home state of Maine down is really cool. I'm sure there'll be a lot of family in attendance and a lot of people traveling from Maine who normally, like even the players on Maine, wouldn't normally get this opportunity to play in a place like Cameron Indoor. So super cool. There's been a lot of rumors going around about a couple exhibition games going on that would be maybe even against some higher Power 5 level schools for charity. I don't. There's nothing official yet, but I think that's going to be trickling out here in the next month or so. Duke plays exhibition games; they always have, and this year won't be any different. I thought when they were going to release the schedule that they might include that, or they'd wait till those exhibition games were finalized. But obviously that wasn't the case. But yeah, be on the lookout for that. There could be a couple high level, even televised exhibition games. I'm not breaking any news here, but that's just been the rumors that have been swirling. So that'll be a cool test as well. But yeah, I'm excited, and countdown being on the 4th this year is great, earlier than most. So this is going to be fun.
Yeah, October 4th for Countdown to Craziness. November 4th for the start of the season with Maine. The big schools, the power conference opponents for the Blue Devils, once again in the non-conference, Kentucky and Atlanta, Arizona on the road, Kansas and Las Vegas, Auburn at home at Cameron Indoor, and then Illinois there in New York at Madison Square Garden. And then again, the non-power conference teams that the Blue Devils will face at home, all games at home for the Blue Devils, are Maine, Army, Wofford, Seattle, Incarnate Word, and George Mason. Those are games in which the Blue Devils are expected to win. And look, it is important. They're not the most fun games to watch, but those games are really important nonetheless, especially, Ryan, circling back to there's several freshmen on this Duke team, right?
Yeah.
And then a lot of newcomers, only 2 returning players. You need just those reps to get used to playing with one another.
Yeah, I should say I'm looking forward to it because it means the season's here, but I'm not looking forward to us playing like 12 deep and everyone, it's George Mason on December 17th and everyone going into ACC play is going to be like, this is our rotation. These guys are all going to play. And then it's going to get cut to like 8 or 9 guys. And the discourse starts with those games. But no, it's a great time to get super excited about guys that you might not see the rest of the season and for guys to prove themselves in these games. So I do enjoy those games. We've had some games in the past that have gotten a little nerve-wracking at times, but it shouldn't be the case this year. And I'm super excited because we, like you said, a lot of young guys coming in and it'll be great to see them get their shot in those games for sure.
The season will be here before we know it. As we sort of wrap here today, Ryan, a lot of people really fired up. Optimistic is a good word to throw out there for the Duke basketball season when you've got a player like Cooper Flagg and a roster built out around him with other top-level NBA talent. I mean, you've got to be really optimistic about the things Duke could accomplish, right? Very fair to want to hunt down another national championship this season.
Yeah, and I want to say out of nowhere to some, but out of nowhere, just the offseason hype around Con Knipple has just been insane, and I love it. I was chatting with his mom a couple months ago, and she literally just goes, "He's going to surprise people," and literally right on cue, 2 months later, everyone is like, he shocked me. He's been the best player. He's been the most surprising player. So like getting stuff like that in the offseason is super exciting, especially when we knew we had a good roster. We knew we had good freshmen. We knew we had good returners. We knew we had good transfers. But then when some of these freshmen that maybe you didn't think were supposed to contribute right away are suddenly starting to look like they're going to make an impact from day one, like Con, makes it even more exciting. Like we didn't need anything more to get excited about. And then you go and throw Con's offseason into it, and it's even more exciting. And then you talked about Cooper Flagg. I don't really think much needs to be said about him. Just the fact that what he's going to bring from a rating standpoint, from an excitement standpoint, from a playmaking standpoint, it's going to be something we haven't seen since Zion and Paulo, I don't think. So it's going to be a lot of fun, man. I'm ready to buckle up and get ready for the long season.
Yeah, let's have a big, exciting college basketball season set to be a whole lot of fun for Duke this year. Ryan, it is so great to see you as always, man. I look forward to chopping it up with you here again soon, okay?
Thanks, man. Appreciate you letting me kick the rust off right now. I appreciate you.
I love it. All right, that's Ryan Lommen joining us here on the show. Go check him out at the Duke Nation. Crazy Cast is an awesome show as well there with the Field of 68. That's going to do it for our show here today. We're back at it again very soon. As always, go Duke. We'll talk to you soon. My name is JJ Jackson. Thank you and good day.